Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Avengers Armageddon issue 2, written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Delio Diaz and Frank Alpizar, colors by Sonia Oback, and letters by Clayton Cowles. War comes for the Red Hulk as Ross and his Hulk soldiers take the armies of Sankara and the UN head on, pushing them back, but the advances don't last long as the Avengers arrive, demanding Ross shut it all down. Ross refuses, launching an all-out attack on Earth's mightiest heroes. Back in the UN, Secretary General Riani talks with Minister Milyukov from Russia, telling him Russia being part of the coalition would send a strong message to Ross and the world. The minister, who's busy getting off a jet, refuses to join right now since Russia is busy shoring up its own borders and defenses against the American Hulks. Riani knows that while she is in New York, she is from Italy and these Hulks are not hers. She just wants them to be stopped. Milyukov agrees and will help when the time is right as he cuts the call, meeting with the Russian hero team Winterguard. Finding the nation's heroes will put his mind at ease. Winterguard getting more page time is alright by me. It's a team I love. It's a little team that never really gets a lot of page time. They had a solo series not too long ago and I thought it was really good, and we never really see them except when they come out in big events like this, and I kind of wish we got to see them a bit more. Dynamo knows that if all goes to plan, they can put the world's mind at ease. Across Europe in Saria, the Avengers take on Red Hulk, with David speeding in and snapping the leg of one of the Hulk soldiers like it's nothing, something that shocks even the Thing. Ross recognizes Colton, knowing the machine did not account for him being here, let alone Colton having very new, powerful abilities. Seeing Ross legitimately scared of Colton, the man he propped up as his Captain America in the early 2000s and then used and abused as a tool for the government, is so good. He's going to get his comeuppance, I think. Colton is also going to be that unknown factor through this entire event, I think. He's working with the heroes now, but only because it gets him what he wants. That was made very clear in the first issue that they're going after something that he wants, which is Ross, and he wants Ross to answer for his crimes, not against him, but also against everything else he has done. And that's probably going to bring him into blows with the Avengers about how things work. David puts his new Superman level powers to good use, grabbing Red Hulk and speeding off with him, prompting Iron Man and Captain Marvel to race after him as the rest of the Avengers deal with the Hulk soldiers. David blasts Ross through several mountain ranges, smashing him down into the ground hard. Ross again is shocked at what David has become, realizing that he's going to need to reassess the situation now since the machine did not see this coming. I really like what Zdarsky is doing here with David, making him the complete unknown, so much so that the precog device that Ross was using in that first issue to plan his attacks never saw him coming. It also really highlights everything I really like about David. He is the underdog. He's like that guy no one really expects to do much or not be a very big threat, and so far he's proven time and time again that he is someone you do not want to mess with. Red Hulk finally gets a hit in on David, giving him precious seconds to leap away from the fight, intending on taking it to a more new populated location. Red Hulk leaps into the city of Kronlia, home to 300,000 people. As the people panic and flee, Ross stays amongst them, knowing the heroes will pull their punches since they will be too worried about the people getting hurt. Ross is dead wrong though, as David blasts into him at full speed, zigzagging him through the city while dragging Ross behind him and destroying much of the small European town. This is what I said before, is when David is only really after Ross, that's his goal, and anyone, including innocents or other heroes, stand in his way will probably suffer for it. The Avengers will not be putting up with any of that, and that's going to lead him going more rogue and them having to fight them plus Ross, and it's just going to be a big mess for everyone. Back in Saria, the Avengers finish off the Hulk soldiers thanks to Black Panther's fashionably late arrival. Taking down the last Hulk, T'Challa knows that something is wrong since he appears to have been injured by rocket fire from the military, and he isn't healing at all like a Hulk should. Now this is interesting. I figured these guys weren't fully Hulk. I figured they'll probably take in some sort of souped up soldier serum stuff, derived from, a Captain America super soldier serum or something. And I bet this was Ross's plan all along. Make it look like the Avengers maybe killed these American soldiers, kind of give him a little bit more of a legitimate reason to want to attack them. They killed his soldiers on, his quote unquote sovereign soil, so it gives him a bit of an in to go after them. It's also been Ross's MO to just use soldiers as tools and as a means to an end, and then just completely discard of them. He did it with David Colton during the early 2000s, and he's done it with multiple people over the years, and now he's just doing it with the Hulks as well. Iron Man and Captain Marvel, meanwhile, follow the trail of David and the Red Hulk's battle, saving people from falling buildings and debris. As they do the hero work, David continues his battle with Ross above the city, and Ross tells David that when he made him a super soldier, David used to rant about spreading democracy across the world, and that is exactly what he is doing now with New America. David doesn't say a thing, tossing Ross out of the city and into the countryside, where he continues to beat Ross over and over till his arms are bloody. The Winter Soldier arrives, cocking his gun at David, but Bucky doesn't have to say anything for David to stop, finding Ross has returned to his human form. The pause in his beating of the villain is short as he gets ready to continue the beatdown when Iron Man tackles David, demanding that he stop since he doesn't get to decide if Ross lives or dies. He tells David that Ross is going to face trials, chiding him for being reckless and his actions killed people. David doesn't care though, ripping apart Tony's armor like it's nothing and disabling it, finding the Avengers talk too much. He knows people dying is unfortunate, but it's war and he'll carry the deaths with him just like he's always done, but more will keep dying if they let Ross live. He calls the heroes weak, despite God giving them all incredible abilities. He flies off, calling Tony and the other people who just play at helping people that they should be ashamed of themselves. So Zdarsky is very clearly using David to tell that kind of Superman story I've definitely seen people want, which is, a Superman level character going in and dealing with threats once and for all, going into a country, dealing with threat, killing a villain, that sort of stuff. And Zdarsky is rightfully showing that that is a terrible way to do that sort of story, since it doesn't do any good. It just breeds more violence, and it's one villain replacing another. It's actually something he's been toying around with throughout his Captain America run, with Doctor Doom and then Salvation taking over from Doom in Latveria, and now even David is falling into that hole too. As David leaves, Captain America contacts Iron Man, telling him that the Hulks are down and they are trying to help the city, but it's really bad. Bucky answers for Tony since his suit is compromised, telling Sam that David is MIA and so is Ross, who in the chaos has managed to slip away somehow, angering Tony greatly. Elsewhere, Winterguard tells Milyukov that they finished their mission, and thanks to Darkstar's quick teleportation, no one saw them. Milyukov is pleased with their mission's success, as it's revealed that the Winterguard were the ones who took Ross's unconscious body from the battlefield, putting him in a stasis chamber. Darkstar wonders what they intend to do with him, but Crimson Dynamo reminds her that it's not their place to question their orders. However, he does shudder at the thought of, if they didn't want him killed, then what does Russia have planned for the Hulk? So this is a very interesting development, one I did not see coming. Russia now has their own Red Hulk, and it's a little early to see where this story is going exactly, but they have to be trying to brainwash him and turn him on America, right? They'll brainwash him with some sort of, maybe like a Black Widow sort of offshoot Red Room sort of stuff, and then turn him on the Avengers. Maybe that's the stuff we've seen in art previews where Red Hulk is in this very militarized, commander uniform, and he's killing the heroes. Maybe that's what this is leading to, where he's under some sort of brainwash from Russia. Again, this is also Zdarsky not being ever so subtle about his, real life influencing the comics here. This is very topical, a military US dictator who's being puppeted by Russia. I wonder where that is from. While Ross is spirited away to Russia, the Avengers get to work trying to help out the city destroyed by David and Ross's fight. Carol comes looking for Tony, finding that he's looking for clues at Ross's base of operations for where he escaped to. Carol surveys the destruction, finding it all terrible, since not only are dozens killed, the UN is now up in arms thanks to their intervention, and there's a Hulk missing and an AWOL ex-soldier with the powers of Sentry also missing, something that further complicates the issue. So I guess this does kind of confirm that the origin box that David did get was giving him the powers of the ultimate sentry. Of course, this is probably Carol just sort of generalization of the abilities she's seen David use. They're like, oh, they're very much like the sentry. But I guess that it would make sense that it would be the sentry's powers. It definitely feels like maybe that is the direction we're heading in. I do wonder if that also means that, oh, does he have the void with him now as well? Or is the void now part of David's identity in some way? Carol asks Reed what the next step is. Mr. Fantastic takes stock and analyzes the situation and tells her that they'll do what they always do, try their best. Iron Man meanwhile makes it to Ross's base of operations, finding the UN soldiers waiting for him. The commander knows that they could have defeated Ross and his Hulks, and they were on their way to do it. That is until the heroes turned up and decided they wanted all the glory for themselves, and now because of it, people are dead. I think this was part of Ross's plan, lure in the UN, and then of course the Avengers would definitely step in, and it would just create chaos and just utter confusion, leading to soldiers dying and then the Avengers getting blamed for it. Feels like that's where this story is headed, where the Avengers are kind of going to be on the oust with the UN and probably most of the world, but are still going to try and defend it as much they can. Tony tells the man that whatever he's feeling, he assures him that the heroes are feeling it 10 times worse, moving past the man and into Ross's tent. He gets Friday to scan the room, finding the unknown object that emits multiversal energy. The AI deduces that this is some type of machine that can see into the future. Tony is interested, activating the device and wanting to see what Ross saw, finding the villain saw nuclear war on the horizon. So of course Tony couldn't leave well enough alone. Of course he activated the device, shocked to see that it's nuclear wars on the horizon, because of course it is, it probably always is. I wouldn't be so shocked if he somehow takes this device and tries to use it against Ross. Maybe he implements it into that device he made in the first issue of this series that was like spying on people. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something Tony does, because that's classic Tony Stark meddling in things he does not really fully understand and thinks he's cocky enough to actually do it. It's that arrogance, that Stark arrogance getting the better of him. I do wonder if we'll learn a little bit more about this device, or whether it's just going to stay a bit sort of nebulous. I kind of like it being nebulous and kind of just this thing that exists that, Doctor Doom had as like a weapon that he could use, and now Ross is using it, and now Iron Man is using it. I'm sure it's going to complicate things even more, because again, the Avengers are probably going to find out Tony has this device and are probably going to be like, hey, that's not a good thing to use. We don't need to use that device. That's, pre-crime, thought crime stuff. Let's not do that. It's a great development for the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where Zdarsky takes it next. Avengers Armageddon issue 2 was another brisk, action-packed affair that laid out where everyone stands in the whole General Ross invading another country and how he should suffer for it. David Colton continues to be one of the more interesting new additions to the Avengers and Marvel in general, and I'm thoroughly enjoying how Zdarsky is deploying him in a way to explain how an all-powerful being solving human problems is a very bad idea. As a Superman fan, that's something I've seen done with the character a lot, and it's always awesome seeing a writer use that story, especially here in a Marvel Universe setting, which is usually when it's not done, and it's leading to some really awesome twists and turns for the summer event series. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.